welcome to episode 8. This is TK is Giant. You're watching GOMEtv. This episode is dedicated to Thorin. He is a warrior. Like my last video with Unglob, Thorin is also very good with critical chance and critical damage, and I'm even going to add up some basic attack damage to his belt, which is really going to make him more balanced and not rely so much on his critical hits. The thing about Thorin is he's very, very strong when his abilities are active, but when his abilities are on cooldown, you're really going to want to play a little more defensively, because he really is just going to be able to do just straight damage, which compared to a striker isn't one of his strengths. Now, as far as loadouts go for Thorin, I think the most effective would be some kind of balance between damage, critical hit, and critical chance. Now, there's other belts that'll work great. He does have a high amount of health. However, I don't think this is a Guardian that you want to load up on health and resistance. He will really do a great amount of damage when he's in the right situation. So for my first relic, I went with Goblin Gate, and that gives you 12% plus 1% critical chance per level, and each critical hit you make gives you plus 4 critical damage, and this stacks up to 10 times for a total of an extra 40% critical damage. I find this a very good relic with Thorin because his one ability, Revenge, does true damage and benefits with critical hit. But it also makes him really strong with just his basic attack when he gets that critical hit. And then I load this relic up with all plus 10% critical damage gems. Now for my second relic, I go with the 2-slot, and I go with the Red Arrow relic. And for every ruby in your belt, you gain plus 2% basic attack damage. And I find this makes Thorin a lot more balanced on his regular melee attack when his abilities are still on cooldown. And it doesn't affect his critical damage, which I was kind of surprised for after I did the calculations. They'll do just as much with the extra basic attack damage, and when he doesn't get a critical hit, he's going to be doing more regular damage, which I like, because I don't like relying too much on getting those critical hits, because they are just, chance. And now for the gems I chose for the Red Arrow relic, I go with one more 10% critical damage gem, and then I go with 2 plus 4 basic attack damage percentages, and that's just going to push me up so that when I'm at max level, I'm doing 200 basic attack damage, which is about equivalent to a striker in the game. Now for which ability to level up when you're playing Thorin, I find that usually the best is either Revenge, or I go with the Oakenshield ability. Now if I feel like I'm being pushed back and I'm taking a lot of damage and I'm having to use health potions, then I go with Oakenshield first. But if I find that me and my teammates in my lane are being a lot more offensive, then I go with Revenge, just because it'll do more damage, and you can stack it up so it'll do more damage when you start getting the higher levels. What I would recommend most of the time is go for Revenge, and that's because it does true damage as it stacks up, and it can benefit from your critical hits. And what it does is it unleashes a powerful melee attack against a single target for 35, scaling up to 110 ability damage, and 35 up into 110 true damage. And this ability can deal a critical hit, which is really big. And this is a great ability for when somebody pops a shield and they're right about to die, and you just ignore that shield and you go right through it and you get the enemy kill. Now the other ability that Thorin has that I mentioned was Oakenshield, and gaining the strength when the odds are long, Thorin creates a shield that persists 5 seconds and is capable of absorbing 130 up into 350 basic or ability damage. Additionally, enemies that are within range of Thorin while Oakenshield ability is active have their attack speed reduced by 10%, scaling up to 40%. When Thorin hits level 5, you're able to level up Heart of the Mountain, and this is a really strong ability for Thorin, and when I pop that ability, I'm really going to go on the offensive, because it's going to give me a lot of resistance and increase my critical chance, and you're really going to find that you're going to be able to run over enemies like a lawnmower if the situation's right. So what the ability does is, issuing a deadly challenge to his enemies, Thorin increases his chance to deliver a critical hit by 20%, scaling up to 35% for the next 5 seconds, and as his health approaches 0, his critical hit increases 20% more. Thorin's basic and ability damage resistance also increases by 8%, scaling up to 25% for the next 5 seconds. Now I have a couple of tips when playing Thorin. As far as team fights go with this Guardian, you're going to want to have Heart of the Mountain active for the increased 25% basic and ability damage resistance whenever you're engaging more than one Guardian. Second, remember that this ability gives you a huge boost in critical chance, so try to look for an opportunity where you can lay out some serious damage. Third is that remember that your shield ability slows enemy Guardian's attack speed by 40%, which is more effective for each enemy Guardian you affect in the team fight. And my fourth tip is try to save your revenge ability for when Heart of the Mountain is active. Because of the big boost in critical chance it gives you, it almost guarantees that your revenge ability will land a critical hit. Now, some other relics worth considering that may work well with using Goblin Gate instead of the Red Book relic that I have equipped this match includes the Dead Marshes relic, because you can keep 2 additional red gems for extra critical damage, and the fact that it can slow enemy Guardian's attack speed for up to 30% when accompanied by your Oaken Shield ability, you can slow an enemy player's attack speed by up to 70%. The other relic that would work well with Thorin is the Mirkwood Spiders relic, and this relic gives you 2 yellow gem slots to add more movement speed, while also at the same time you can slow enemy Guardian's movement speed for up to 30% with your basic attack, and that's for 3 seconds, making it almost impossible for any enemy Guardian to escape your damage. As far as commands go with Thorin, I always equip Adrenaline, and this command gives you 50% attack speed and 25% critical chance. When used with Thorin's ultimate, you'll have 5 seconds where almost every single hit will be critical damage. At max level, this command can kill multiple Guardians before the 5-second duration is over. The other reason I like this command is the relatively short cooldown of 2.5 minutes. I like to take advantage of the burst and damage it allows you to do in teamfight situations. The second command I like to equip is either Smite or Healing Totem. I find with Thorin's revenge ability, using Smite and your revenge ability almost guarantees a kill within seconds. However, it's only really beneficial on one-on-one situations. The third command I like to use when playing Thorin is Lightning, and that's for the AoE damage. However, I find that I rarely use it because my Adrenaline command can allow me to do much more damage. For my final command, I like to use Flash of Light to blind and silence enemies. This command can be very useful when you are in a match with multiple enchanters on the other team that are left vulnerable when not being able to use any of their abilities. Overall, I think Thorin is a solid Guardian that's not really shown enough attention in matches. Just be sure not to engage any enemy players when your abilities are still on cooldown, because that's kind of the window where he's most vulnerable. Now you can see here I'm going for the bottom shrine. Really gives you a big boost when you have all the shrines controlled. And I probably should have killed the bottom creature for penetration, because that's one thing I don't have in my belt, and it would benefit the rest of my team as well. Well, you can see here we're closing on the last interior towers, so probably won't need it too much. And you can see how the revenge ability is really great. It's what I like most about it is that it has range, so you don't always have to be within melee distance to get the ability off. You can have some room, so you can kind of dive under a tower with a little bit of space and still be able to hit that ability off. Revenge could be a good spam ability with Thorin, but you should typically try to wait a little bit until the enemy gets a lot lower in health, because I find that usually they underestimate how much damage you can do, and you'll usually be able to pull off a kill with it if you save it for the end. We're starting to get in our team fight. Couldn't really decide what command I wanted out. I did go with the Healing Totem this round, and the only reason that I went for the Healing Totem is because we didn't have any healers on our team, and I find sometimes when you're pushing on the enemy's last towers, everybody gets to low health, like you can see there for Fizz, and makes your team much more threatening when you're all at full health. It really puts them in a more defensive position to hide under their towers, and then you're able to push up a lot more. One thing the other team's kind of making a mistake on right now is they keep leading a little too far to their tower. It's really kind of what we're waiting for, and Usually if you're playing against any other team that's pushing on your base, they're just going to be waiting for you to run out there and try to take them. Towers can be a useful tool when you're playing defensively and you're trying to lead enemy guardians under it. However, you're going to do much more when your teammates are involved helping you out. Tower's only going to really target one guardian unless you have the split towers. So don't overestimate how much damage they're going to do to the enemy team, because it does take time for that damage to build up to where it will be more significant. And you can see there, I popped my healing totem, and everyone's getting in it. There's no on health. It's really great. And you can see now that we're a much bigger threat, and they continue to run out one by one. It's a mistake I make a lot too. I don't know what it is about just being at your base. You just have this like mentality that you can run out, take on 5 guardians. But it really doesn't work out that way. I want to thank you guys watching this video. I'll have another video out hopefully pretty soon. Somebody requested that I do all runs, so I'm going to do that. And if you guys have any other guardians you want me to cover, let me know. Or any other types of videos. Doesn't have to be only about guardians. So thanks for watching my channel. Please subscribe. Write any comments down, anything you want to share with me. And thanks.